Right, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Mr. George, I want to ask you about your ever-changing estimates of the new emails that you recovered from Mrs. Lerner. Your number started at 80,000 emails in February, then it dropped to 32,000 emails at the end of February. Then last week it fell to 6,400, and 9 days later now it has sunk to about 1,000. Your new number today is 98% lower than the first number you gave us. You know, this is a room where we like to hear the truth. There was a great justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, Oliver Wendell Holmes. He talked about the truth. He said, the truth is tough. It's not like a bubble that you can prick and it'll explode. It's more like a rugged football that you can kick around all day and it doesn't lose its shape and it doesn't lose its form and it stays the same. The truth doesn't change. And when you're talking about a story that's true, Mr. George, it's the same the first time you tell it, the second time you tell it, the third time you tell it, and the fourth time you tell it. The truth doesn't go 80,000 and then 32,000 and then 6,400 and now 1,000. In fact, in the last 9 days, you dropped from 6,400 discovered emails to 1,000, and I'm looking at the letter dated June 16 from your office. This is not from you, this is from Gladys Hernandez, your chief counsel. Is she a chief counselor, Mr. George?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Hello, Gladys, how are you? Thanks for the letter, but Mr. Chairman, I would ask for unanimous consent to enter this June 16 letter from Gladys Hernandez into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
And I was reading the letter, Mr. George, from Attorney Hernandez that says 6,400, and there's no caveat. There's nothing in there that says, oh, this could be fewer. You know, could be fewer than 6,400. There's no proviso in there. It doesn't say there could be duplicates in here. Stand by for the next number, could be coming next week. We didn't hear that from you either. Now, this is not new to you, Mr. George. You were a Republican staffer for this committee. You understand that headlines are generated out of this committee. You understand how irresponsible it can be to throw out numbers with little or no basis because you know they'll work their way into headlines, and folks who like to make insinuations like the previous questioner, will throw that into headlines intentionally. And there was also a question about the prior chairman pressuring your office to come up with quick, fast turnaround information. Well, the newsflash, the previous chairman is the previous chairman. He is no longer here. You are no longer under that kind of Republican pressure to turn over to this committee, and it certainly doesn't say anything about that in Gladys Hernandez's June 16 letter. The question is, why, Mr. George, would you send out letters and put out numbers that you hadn't fully checked, knowing full well, as you do, that these numbers will work their way into these fabulous headlines that we see every day, the breathless reporting of all of these huge numbers of emails that have been discovered? Why, Mr. George? Why do you do that?
Well, first of all, I would like to point out that when I had the honor of serving as a staffer here, it was with Congressman Stephen Horn, the late congressman from Long Beach, California, who admonished us. We never leaked information that during the course of an investigation prior to a hearing. So I comported myself in that way. I made a request of staffers during the course of this investigation to act likewise. They did not do so. I can't control their behavior. Secondly, it was a response to a request that we received. In all candor, this was a transmittal letter, Congressman. I haven't seen this before. It was simply a transmittal letter from our counsel to the committee. So I would have request the opportunity to review this and to respond precisely. But thirdly,
You've heard of Oliver Wendell Holmes, haven't you?
I went to Harvard Law School, sir.
And
yes.
you agree with his statement about the truth, don't you? And don't you agree that when you keep changing your story the way your office has, you lose your credibility and people stop believing that you're telling the truth? I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Recognize the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Wahlberg, for 5 minutes.